right, welcome back, everybody, to Real Talk Realty Podcast, where we put the real in real estate. You are with your host, JD.
And Gabby.
And Louie Name It.
And again, for our month-end wrap-up, we have on none other than Rob Krop himself.
Hola, thanks for having me back.
Yeah, so what we try to do on these month-end wrap-ups is just give you a little bit of an update on where the market's at and tell you a little bit about what we're personally experiencing out in the field with our clients so that you can better prepare yourselves for whether it be buying, whether it be selling. You can have a little bit of information on what to expect when you're entering the market. So first, what we want to talk about is the current mortgage rates, right? Because that's always the number one thing that every buyer is asking. They want to know what the interest rates are. And right now they're hovering around 6 3/4, which continues to keep affordability tight for many buyers. But despite this, we're still seeing a surge in buyer activity across several markets. So, Rob, tell us, what's your view behind that shift?
It seems like the market's starting to wake up to the changes that have been happening. I think a lot of the reasons that the market slowed down was because, one, they were a little curious about the new administration, with where inflation would go, and also with the T word, the tariffs, how that was going to affect things.
Yeah.
Now, we talked about it before, the Fed shouldn't be making decisions based on something that hasn't happened yet, but either way they have. Now we have some data points coming out on that, and people have been seeing it, and I think there's a lot of people that are at a point where they're saying, you know what, it's not as bad as I thought. I mean, even Bill Maher came out 2 days ago and said, you know, the tariffs aren't as bad as I thought they were going to be. I thought we'd be in a way different place. And I think that sentiment has hit a lot of people. I also think a lot more people are just getting used to the fact that the interest rates are where they are.
Right. The fact that they've stabilized, it's not any more shocking when you're looking at it, right?
Right. My question is, if inflation is easing, job market is good, our economy is doing good, the tariffs didn't do what everybody thought they were going to do, why hasn't the chairman of the Fed
Drop the rates.
What's causing him to hold still?
That's the number one question.
If we had that answer, we wouldn't be sitting here right now.
That's true.
Yeah.
We'd be in some other analyst position.
I think if there was an answer out there, we would be talking about how rates are on their way down, just like they are in Europe. And so this week, as of today, we're filming Tuesday, Wednesday, tomorrow, they're actually going to come out and talk about the interest rates. Jerome Powell's he's getting up to give a speech. They're not expecting him to drop the rates, but considering all the things that have happened over the last week or two, I'm a little curious to see if there might be some movement in what he says.
Well, he has met with the president.
Yeah.
The president did go to the Federal Reserve.
Right.
And he met with Jerome Powell. So I'm thinking something's got to give here.
Yeah.
I think that he may touch upon the interest rates by lowering the tad. I cannot see him not lowering the rate.
I feel like if something catastrophic happens, we have to do an emergency press conference and come right back here and do another
back
pod.
on the podcast and tell everyone, guys, guess what?
Yep.
Yeah, we definitely need to come back if the interest rates drop. It doesn't happen Wednesday, which no one is assuming that it's going to. We're still thinking that sometime over the next 30 to 60 days, by September is what even Powell said. By September, he believes that he's going to make some drop, assuming that he's seen enough with what has happened with the tariffs.
Yep.
And that all starts August 1, technically. The tariffs have started, but the main tariffs for everybody, with the new amounts, are going to start August 1. And so getting into September does make a lot of sense that if his whole goal is to wait and see what happens, that would probably be when he's going to do it.
I think they also, there was a lot of speculation. Well, not speculation, it was just factual, but a lot of companies throughout the country front-ended their, imports when these tariffs came out. They front-loaded everything and just got as many goods as they could before they went into place. So there's probably a little bit to do. That's probably a little bit of an explanation with the delayed response.
To be a lagging indicator.
Yeah.
Right.
The president has done a phenomenal job. I think the trading is going to be balanced. This great, huge deal that he just made with the European Union is going to balance the trade between the United States and Europe. So I think we are going to end up in a really good position.
Oh, absolutely. With the deals that they're creating on the tariffs, love them or hate them, it's going to affect our economy in a really good way. Either way, we definitely are starting to see that that's becoming a positive, and rates will eventually come down. And when they do, that's going to make a big difference in our economy. And right now, they're saying that if we see rates get to a 6% tipping point, at the 6% rate, that's going to be the tipping point for more buyers to enter the market. They're anticipating around 550,000 new buyers coming into the market,
crazy.
which is 11% more than what we've had the last 3 years in a row.
Better strap in.
Better strap in.
Yeah.
That's a lot. That's a lot of buyer activity. So that changes things for a lot of buyers, and that's going to change things for a lot of sellers.
Yeah.
So although interest rates haven't fully begin to drop yet, why do you think the market is now waking up?
Again, I think part of it is just because people are used to it. And at the end of the day, nobody wants to be homeless. You want to live in a home.
I think also
so you're
too.
going to buy, rent, or sell.
Yeah.
And so you're going to do one of those things.
Well, I've also had a lot of buyers too that despite the interest rates, they're noticing if you're spending any amount of time on Zillow late night scrolling, you're seeing price cut after price cut on tons of inventory. You're seeing opportunities for buyers. Mm-hmm. It was pretty hard. It was a hard pill for people to swallow, I think, when the interest rates seemed, much higher than they had been, plus paying a premium and getting none of your inspections or contingencies through in any situation. Now it's like, okay, they're seeing these price cuts. They're knowing that there's opportunities to be had, and I think they're stepping out, and people are getting their inspections. They're requesting repairs or credits and things of that nature. So the sting, I don't think, is as near as bad as it was when it first hit 6.5 or 6 3/4.
That's a very good point.
Yeah. So that's probably what my speculation is on that.
But another thing too, back on interest rates, I know they're projected to drop, right? But I think also people think it's going to be this massive drop. It's just going to go from 6.7 to 5.
That's not happening.
And it's just,
No, but
it's not happening.
With the prices being what they have been and what they've evolved to be, even 0.5% right now is a catastrophic difference for somebody's finances.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
That's several hundreds of dollars, depending on the price of the house that they're buying, per month.
Per month, right.
In an already, inflated everything. Everything's already expensive. So that couple $100 makes a massive difference for the average family.
When the interest rates do change, it's not going to be anything massive. It's not going to be 3%. It's not going to be any of that.
Get it out of your heads right now. It's not happening.
Not in our lifetime.
For the next couple years, for sure.
Yeah.
You missed it. You missed the boat. If you didn't get a house during 2020, 21,
it's over. You missed it. You missed the Bitcoin.
You missed the Bitcoin. So going into the expectation for the rates is that we'll probably see that 6% sometime into second quarter of next year. So there, even with this conversation happening, there still isn't any anticipation that interest rates for mortgages makes that much of a change. Even if the Fed does drop the rate a couple points, it's not a 1-to-1 ratio for mortgage rates. It's just what the mortgage rates are going to be based off of. And so, as time goes on and the banks get a little bit more comfortable, they may start dropping those even more. But it's not going to be a 1-for-1. So if you hear the Fed drop the rates, it doesn't mean that immediately that day or the next day that mortgage rates are significantly less. But it does mean that they're probably on their way.
Yeah. And sometimes it doesn't, that was one thing that we learned by who was just talking with us, one of our preferred lenders, and they were saying that, there is a correlation, but just like you said, it's not a direct reflection. What the Fed does is not a direct reflection for the mortgage industry.
Yeah, right. That's true. That's true.
So
with all that said, what do you think buyers are feeling with all this that's happening and not happening? Are they anxious or are they being cautious?
Seeing?
I think that some of the my buyers are the ones I've spoken to are not worrying about what's going on right now.
Yeah.
Most of the sellers are trying to figure out the market,
the timing
and all that. So like in our area, the DMV, you have to move. If you have to move, you have to move. If you have to move in, you have to move in. So
yeah, it's always a case by case basis. That's why we always try to find out, do you need to move or do you want to move?
That's right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because
I think I've seen a little bit of both. I have those buyers who are like, let's buy now before the rates can go up to like 14%. Like
Right.
it can go crazy, right?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
then I have those buyers that are like, I think the rates are going to drop and I want to wait. And
If anybody's watching the news right now, all the headlines
Yeah.
are the tariffs are not doing what everybody feared they were going to do. They're
Yeah.
actually working. So I think that's triggering the wake up in the market.
Me personally, I've been seeing a lot of buyers shop rate more than ever, which is fine. We always encourage that anyway. It's like, hey, when you go to make any kind of decision, make sure you're, making the best decision for your family and that you get all the information possible. But I've seen a lot of my buyers, either come with their own financing initially, and then they ask me, hey, can we check with some of your local lenders? And, they're just feeling it out to see what they can get. So,
Right.
which that's to be expected, I think.
And a lot of motivated buyers and educated buyers, they see the rumblings. They
Yeah.
know what's coming, right? So they don't want to be in that massive wave of people hitting the market. They want to buy a house now before that happens.
Right. Well, if you're smart.
If you're smart.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and a lot of our buyers that weren't able to buy the last couple of years because of multiple offers and a lot of competition, now there's a lot more opportunity for them to be able to buy. And like you said earlier, they're getting the home inspections, they can get the home sale contingencies, they can get all those good things. As long as they can understand that buying resale is not a perfect home.
Right.
And I think that's sometimes the hardest thing right now with the interest rates is that because money's so expensive, it's really tough when they see a home that needs some work. There are some buyers that don't see beyond what it is
Right.
as an opportunity.
Yeah.
It's a great opportunity right now. If you're trying to buy, this is the time to get in without the competition and start working on that equity over the next couple of years. You're going to get a much better deal than had you waited for cheaper money.
Yeah.
And the best part, when interest rates do go down and you are in a house, your mortgage payment can go down. All you have to do is call your lender and
Refinance.
refinance. It may not be right away, but eventually the interest rates will come down far enough where you'll be able to do that.
Well, think about the inventory right now. It's like, yeah, we have slightly more than we did 6 or 7 months ago. But if 550,000 buyers enter the market and the inventory is relatively close to what it is now, that's going to be a massive uptick in multiple offer situations across the whole area, specifically our area, because obviously our area is very hot. But it's going to be a tough time again.
It's going to be a really tough time, especially when those home prices start creeping back up.
Yep.
You said something about home inspections, and I think we need to do a whole episode about home inspections because I've had so many buyers who have just panicked with home inspections, and they don't understand that with resale, you're going to have items on the home inspection.
Not even just resale. On
I
a
think
brand new
even
home, you're
new
going to find
construction.
items. So it's like, yes, on a resale, you're 100% going to. So it's just about setting that expectation. But you're right. Buyers with a premium interest rate, premium pricing, they're going to want a premium house. So if your house is not premium, you're going to run into some problems. It's going to sit there for a while.
That goes for sellers too. If you want to sell your house and get a high ticket price for your house, prepare your house and get the high ticket items taken care of. It'll just make your home more attractive.
The days of throwing up a litter box up on the MLS
over.
with cell phone photos and getting multiple offer situations, it's over. Okay, so let's just go ahead and take it out of our minds.
So we talked a little bit about what buyers are feeling. So what have you guys seen? Like, what are sellers feeling right now?
Pinched.
Yeah.
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 Sellers are feeling not feeling good right now. It's a hard thing. I just had one of my clients call me up and say, Louis, we got to regroup. So we took his home off the market and we're going to regroup in 60 days. Hopefully the interest rates are going to be a little notch down and
You just did that with a listing and had great success with it a few weeks ago. You took one off, regrouped, 2 weeks later, put it back on and got it sold.
almost 3 offers on that house.
Yep. So
Yep.
that's a testament, that works. My experience, my sellers right now, it depends on which seller you ask, right? The seller who took my advice and we priced their house out and we knew it was worth X, right? And I said, look, we can do that. There's every justification here for this price as far as the comps go. Or we can just tuck it in even further down to initiate more showings, more bodies, more people through the door. And that's exactly what we did. And tonight we have 3 offers in hand. We went on the market on Thursday. And now it's Tuesday, 3 offers in hand and still showings pouring in.
Right. The sellers that are doing the best right now are those that are updating their homes and giving seller credits and caring about what their home looks like.
Right.
And making sure that their house is spot on what people want to walk into.
Yep.
You know, you got to update your home. You got to clean your home. You got to make sure that if somebody asks you for a credit, are you willing to offer a buyer a credit?
Yeah.
It's a pricing and a beauty contest.
That's exactly right. It definitely is. And with the pricing, it's like, you know, an inexperienced agent right now maybe using data from over a year ago, and it was just an entirely different market. So it's not even a reflection of what's currently going on.
No.
That's what I've noticed.
So, Rob, what do you think of new builds and resales?
We were talking about this earlier. Is it cheaper to buy new construction than resale? And ultimately, maybe. So right now, builders are offering huge incentives to get people to buy their products. They're doing deep price cuts. They're doing closing cost assistance. They're doing upgraded finishes, finishing basements, doing additional rooms, and they're doing interest rate buy downs. And this is insane. And so I actually got a flyer from a builder in Tampa, who I'm going to leave unnamed for the moment. And this builder was offering $15,000 in closing help, and they were offering to buy down the interest rate to 3.99%.
That's
crazy.
unreal.
That's insane.
That is insane.
So
Maybe I should move to Florida.
I legit thought about it when I saw that.
I have
Yeah.
one foot there.
so
Literally.
So I just did a little bit of math because I thought this was interesting. So if you take that $500,000 home, and you know now they for this program it was an FHA, which is how they were able to buy it down to 3.99. So at a $500,000 home using 3.5% down, FHA is right around 6.5% right now, which at a $500,000 home would be principal interest of $3,049, and at 3.99%. The monthly payment drops to $2,300,
Wow.
That's
which
crazy.
is a savings of $749 a month, or $8,988 a year, which
Oh.
is the equivalent of 3 months of free mortgage.
That's amazing.
That's crazy.
And so you can imagine a buddy of mine's in this Tampa market, and he was saying one of the things is it's tough competing against some of these new homes
Right.
that are offering some of these incentives.
Right.
You know what's funny? Remember I don't know if you remember, maybe about 4 or 5 months ago, I had a person who was buying up here, but they had a home down in Florida that they were trying to sell. That was the main problem. Their home down in Florida was sitting there, and it was because, and the agent who I was talking to on a daily basis, who seemed pretty knowledgeable, was telling me, it's so hard to compete with these new construction. They're like 2 miles down from this house, which our house was only built like 5 years ago, but 2 miles down was a brand new neighborhood that was basically priced the same, except those houses came with a pool.
Well, what new homes are not only selling because they're offering all these incentives, but
Right.
the major thing is you're not going to spend any money
Yeah.
fixing up this house.
Yeah.
It's move-in
Sure.
ready. And most of these resales need a lot of work.
Yeah.
That's true.
Well, and that's kind of the thing when it comes to sellers. What should you be doing, especially as we're starting to see these types of incentives? How can you be competitive against these new builds? And it's going to be getting your house ready.
That's it.
Yeah.
It's going to be, you know what, carpet, just the basics.
Yes.
I did a exercise on paint for someone. If you could make an extra $10,000 by painting your house, and that's pretty average in our market with a home that needs paint, because that's about what it's going to cost if you paid someone. But if you did it yourself, that takes you, let's say, 20 hours. That's making $500 an hour in your return.
That's true.
Let's say that you did 40 hours, and it took you an entire week of time to do it. That's $250 an hour, essentially paying yourself back, and how much more you're going to make on
Can
your
I ask you a
house.
dumb question?
Yeah.
So it's $10,000 on average, right? If you paint your house in our market, it costs about $10,000 to get it
If
done.
you paid someone to do it.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah.
So what would you, if your seller asked you, hey, should I paint my house or should I just decrease the price $10,000? What do you think is the better option there?
again, I would still paint the house, because if you don't paint the house, it costs $10,000 to paint the house, but they're also going to they're going to reduce the price even more, because then they're going to have to come in and do that.
Yeah.
Correct. And painting a house does not necessarily mean it needs to be painted because there's wall marks, whatever. No, it also has to do with color, because
Yeah.
a color of paint, if it makes your house updated and
Agreeable gray.
Look updated. Yes. Well, don't paint your house gray. Don't paint your house gray.
But you make a good point. Like, if it's still the
Wait,
builder
don't
grade,
paint your house gray?
Don't paint your house gray.
Why?
It's overplayed.
there's a lot of opinions about different colors.
Yeah.
But,
Anyway,
but
color-
leaving it that builder grade white, the initial, without having a fresh coat of paint, it makes a difference.
It
Yeah.
does. It does make a difference. Huge difference.
And again, it's not $10,000 necessarily in the cost even of painting, and you might not be painting your entire house. A lot of painting is touch up.
True.
So, that's another thing. It's not like you're painting from start to finish, like you have bare walls ready to go.
Right.
That's
Like,
unless of course your
unless,
house
of course,
is.
you do.
Yes, exactly.
But it's an important thing that sellers need to know going into this market, where you are going to be competing, against builders also. Like, they have a new home, and so we need to show ours as move-in ready as possible.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
in every market, move-in ready is going to get you top dollar every day.
Yep. Because that's really all the buyer's doing on their showing anyway. They're walking around and they're saying, "Oh, that we'd have to do this, we'd have to do that." I just took some clients out to a showing on a property here in Thurmont, and it was beautiful property. Walked in, it was really nice condition. We walk around the corner, and the kitchen was like tucked in this weird like corner. And it was all, there's nothing you could do to it. There was no wall you could not knock down to make it bigger or different shaped. And they are ultimately like, "Hey, I want to meet with new construction," because even that house was like fairly new, but it was just a terrible layout with the kitchen. So now we're meeting with a builder, but that's just an idea of what.
That's a very important point, because when you go to buy a house, you have to not only think of yourself and your enjoyment and living where you live, but you also got to think of resale.
Yeah.
So look at your house, look at the functionality of that house, because it's important for resale.
Yep.
Yeah.
I showed a client a house the other day. It's been on the market for 5 years.
Oh, what the hell?
Oh my gosh.
And the craziest thing is the pricing has really not changed that much over 5 years. In fact, it
It's
went
gone
down and it went back up, and then it went down and then it went back up. And I showed the client the house, and they were trying to make it work for them. And I said, I'll give you some very helpful advice. They have not sold this house for 5 years. And they did not sell this house during 2019, 2020, or 2021, which
Wow.
was the easiest time to sell anything. The litter box, as you
Yeah.
mentioned before.
Yeah.
If they couldn't sell it during those years,
Yeah.
I think you're going to have a really hard time reselling this later.
Yeah.
So you can buy it, absolutely, and I will do my very best to sell it however many years later, but just know that that's something you're going to come up against.
Yeah. So what was actually wrong with it?
It was just so tiny,
Yeah.
and like all the rooms were just a little too tiny that, like, where do you put a table? Where do you would have to have gone full IKEA on this property, and they were willing to, and we've come up with some great ideas to make it work. But I told them, I was like, "Listen, just so you know, I'm going to sell your house one day for you, and this one's going to be tough."
That's funny, because when you go downtown, right, and you look at all these 19th century homes, you wonder, how did these people live in these small, tiny
Yeah.
little rooms?
Yeah.
How did they do it?
But what's funny is now, even in new construction now, you're seeing like these tiny bedrooms sometimes. I'm like, what are you
Right,
doing?
yeah.
Especially townhouses.
These little townhouses.
You
Like,
can't
what the
even-
hell is
you
this?
can't even fit a bed in there.
Yeah. Doesn't make any sense. You can barely put a crib.
Sleeping
my
bag.
God.
Sleeping bag, maybe.
Yeah.
You got to see the Baltimore third bedroom.
Oh.
Oh, I've been
It's usually
there.
a closet.
It's
Yes.
enough to fit
It's
the
a-
air
a
conditioner,
cot.
the window air conditioner unit.
Yeah.
Oh my
Yeah,
god.
I've seen some
Uh,
cool places.
Last thing I wanted to mention was a really cool proposal that they're coming out with by Fannie and Freddie Mac, talking about ways to factor in rental payment history to help with mortgage qualification.
That's
This is a big
one.
deal.
That is
Listen
a big
up.
deal.
Listen
Yeah.
up.
This is huge. So we always joke, a buyer they can be approved for a $3,000 a month lease, but God forbid they're trying to get a $2,000 a month mortgage.
Yeah. Right.
It's not going to happen. And so this is something that's really going to help a lot of first-time home buyers, self-employed people, or people that don't have a lot of credit. This is going to be another way that they're going to be able to see that. And I think it's going to make banks a little bit more comfortable with borrowers because they're seeing housing payments being made. Right. And that, that consistency is important. On the property management side, like when we look at a good tenant, we like to see, have they missed any of their rental payments?
Right.
Like that tells us if they're going to miss this time.
Yeah.
And same thing, if they've been missing on rental, they're probably going to miss on their mortgage.
Right.
And so I think this is huge. I think it's going to unlock home ownership for millions of people that never would have been able to before.
Yeah.
I'm a big comment section guy on Facebook. I'm always in the comment sections. And on real estate posts, I've seen that comment made by so many people. They're like, how can I've been living in the same rental for 4 years and paying X price, but I can't get qualified for $500 less on a buy.
That's so true.
So this happens to be, this is like an average American experience right now. So this is going to be huge for those of you who have paid your bills on time and you want to get into the market and actually buy something.
That's fair.
It should be that way.
I had a client that lived in a rental for 33 years.
Dang.
Jeez Louise.
33 years.
That's the best tenant ever.
Because he couldn't qualify to purchase a house.
That's crazy.
But he made his payment every single month.
This new rental history, this is supposed to start sometime at the end of this month, going into August.
Awesome.
So that's the proposal. So, there'll definitely be more that we'll talk about on that, I imagine.
Yeah.
My goodness, between the interest rates going down, the tariffs doing their job, and this new thing with rentals,
It's about to get busy.
550,000 people might turn into
A lot of deals. If you know what you're doing. But if you don't know what you're doing, call one of us here. We'll take care of you.
absolutely.
Yes.
But I really appreciate everybody jumping back on for our month-end wrap-up with Rob Krop and Louie and Gabby, and we're really looking forward to seeing you guys again next week. We got some special guests coming on. Stay tuned for that, and please join us every end of the month for the month-end wrap-up. You all enjoy the rest of your week, and we look forward to seeing you soon.
Bye, guys.
Peace.